the timeless past.
The story of the Canis Pugnax, Rome's fiercest war dog, the bloodline of war. To understand Rome's war dogs, our journey starts long before Rome, in the mountains of Epirus in ancient Greece. This was the land of the Molossians, and they were masters of a truly incredible canine, the Molossian hound. Now extinct, this ancient breed was famous across the classical world for its size, strength, and protective nature. These were giants of their kind, bred to guard livestock against wolves and bears. They were protectors, born from a rugged land that demanded strength. Writers like Aristotle and Virgil spoke of the Molossian with awe. The Molossians themselves were so proud of these dogs, they even minted silver coins with their image. Legends surrounded them, including one story that Alexander the Great, whose mother was a Molossian princess, sent giant dogs he found in Asia back to his homeland, adding to the region's reputation for raising magnificent canines. When the Romans began to expand, they were masters of adaptation. A key to Rome's success was its ability to see a good idea and make it their own. As they pushed into Greece around the 2nd century BC, they came face to face with these legendary hounds. They didn't just see a guard dog, they saw the raw material for a weapon. Roman breeders, always pragmatic, took the best of the Molossians and began selectively breeding them, likely crossing them with other Italian dogs to create something new. This wasn't some casual hobby. It was a calculated effort of selective breeding, ancient style. The goal was a dog that was not only physically imposing, but had the perfect temperament for war. They bred for courage, loyalty, and the ability to follow commands in the chaos of battle. What they created was a dog whose name was its function. While the Romans didn't have a formal breed name like we do today, the term Canis Pugnax, fighting dog, is the perfect description. There were likely different types of these war dogs. Roman authors distinguished between lighter, faster dogs built for stamina, more like the modern Cane Corso, and heavier, more powerful dogs, the ancestors of today's hulking Neapolitan Mastiff. This shows the classic Roman attention to detail. They weren't just breeding war dogs, they were creating a canine corps with different skills. Forging the beast. A Roman war dog wasn't born a perfect soldier, it was made. And the process of turning this powerful animal into a disciplined weapon was long and brutal. It was a system designed to forge an instrument of pure, controlled violence. The training started when they were puppies, taken from their mothers early to break their natural bonds and reforge them with their human handlers and the military unit they would serve. These handlers, the caniferi, were part soldier, part trainer. Their job was to mold the dog into a component of the Roman war machine. From the start, the pups were exposed to the jarring noises of battle, the clang of swords, the blast of trumpets, the screams of men, to desensitize them. Any puppy that showed fear was cast aside. Hunger was a weapon. A trainer might place meat in front of a starving dog and forbid it to eat for hours until a specific command was given. This taught absolute restraint, a vital skill on a battlefield littered with distractions. The dog was raised to be part of the unit, sleeping in the barracks and marching with the column. It learned to recognize friend from foe by the scent of the legionaries and the look of their armor. This was essential to prevent the dog from turning on its own side in the confusion of a melee. While we don't have direct proof of large-scale military academies for dogs, training was systematic. Centers like Capua, famous for its gladiatorial schools, were known for training animals, and it's likely the best war dogs were bred and conditioned in similar specialized environments. They were creating dogs that could operate like soldiers, charging only on command. The dogs of war. On the battlefield, the Roman war dog was a weapon of psychological terror. The idea of hundreds of dogs unleashed in one giant wave is probably an exaggeration. The Romans were far more strategic. Their main role in a big battle was as a shock weapon. Imagine standing in a line of Celtic or Germanic warriors waiting for the Roman legions to advance. Just before the lines clash, the handlers unleash the dogs. These are massive, muscular beasts, clad in their own protection, often a spiked leather collar to protect the neck and rip into enemies. Some sources mention rarer cases of metal armor, though this was likely not standard. This first charge was meant to do one thing: break the enemy's nerve. A few of these armored monsters crashing into a shield wall could create panic, disrupt the formation, and create the chaos the Romans needed to exploit with their short swords. The sheer sight and sound of them was a weapon designed to destabilize the enemy's morale before a single spear was thrown. But their jobs didn't stop there. War dogs were a key part of the legion's daily life. Roman armies were vulnerable when setting up their fortified camps, the castra, each night. During this time, patrols of sentries and dogs would secure the perimeter. A dog's superior hearing and smell could detect an ambush long before a human could, acting as a vital early warning system. They were also used as trackers. In the dense forests of Germania, a war dog could follow a trail for miles, hunting down wounded enemies or flushing out hidden fighters from caves and woods. This was a much safer way to clear an area than sending in soldiers blindly. There's an account from the historian Zonarus, likely referencing earlier sources, of the consul Marcus Pomponius Matho using dogs in 231 BC to hunt guerrilla fighters out of their hiding places in the rough terrain of Sardinia. They even served as messengers, carrying notes in special collars through dangerous territory. These dogs were tough, capable of marching up to 35 kilometers a day with the legions. They weren't just weapons. They were versatile tools of the Roman military, serving as sentries, trackers, and shock troops. A bond of blood and spirit. To Rome's enemies, these dogs were monsters. But to the soldiers who fought beside them, they were something more. They became comrades, living symbols of the most prized Roman virtues: loyalty, courage, and discipline. A deep bond was often forged in the shared terror of the battlefield. The Roman word for loyalty was fides, a cornerstone of their society. The absolute devotion of a war dog was seen as the perfect embodiment of this ideal. The Roman naturalist Pliny the Elder wrote admiringly of them, and stories were told of dogs who refused to leave their fallen masters, standing guard over their bodies even in death. To the Romans, this was a profound act of loyalty, and there are accounts of soldiers giving their canine partners proper burials, honoring them as they would a human comrade. This connection elevated the war dog from a military asset to a figure of cultural reverence. In the superstitious world of the common soldier, these dogs were sometimes seen as supernatural guardians. This idea was already part of Roman culture, where dogs were associated with protecting against unseen spirits. A war dog's growl in the dead of night might not just be a sound in the woods, but a warning from a guardian spirit watching over the legion. Their loyalty became legendary. One account tells of the war dogs of the Cimbri tribes who, even after their human masters were defeated by the Romans, continued to defend the territory with such ferocity that they held up the Roman advance. The Romans both feared and respected this unbreakable spirit. In Roman art, these dogs appear on monuments like Trajan's Column, marching with the troops. Historians debate their exact role in these scenes. Are they combatants or guardians? But their inclusion alone shows their importance. They were a part of Roman military life, worthy of being carved in stone alongside emperors and generals. Beyond the battlefield. The story of these powerful dogs wasn't just written on the battlefield. Their ferocity was also put on display for Roman citizens in the most spectacular and brutal of settings, the gladiatorial arenas. The Colosseum and amphitheaters across the empire were stages for violence, and the war dog was a star. In staged hunts called venationes, the public watched as these dogs, symbols of Roman military might, were pitted against exotic beasts from the farthest corners of the empire: lions, tigers, bears, and boars. They also fought against condemned criminals in public executions. The owners of successful arena dogs could gain great prestige, meaning these animals were often highly valued. But even as these dogs were trained for war and blood sport, their relatives played a much more peaceful but equally vital role in Roman life. The same traits that made them great soldiers, loyalty, intelligence, and a protective instinct, also made them exceptional guardians of homes and farms. In a world without police, a good guard dog was the best security system. The famous cave Canem, beware of the dog. Mosaics found in places like Pompeii often show a fierce-looking dog, a proud declaration of the family's canine protector. The dog was a constant presence in Roman life, a guardian, a hunter, a companion, and a protector against threats both physical and spiritual. They were often beloved members of the family, and when they died, they were mourned with heartfelt epitaphs on their tombs. The long twilight. For centuries, Roman war dogs marched with the legions, a living symbol of their power. But as the Roman Empire changed, so did its way of fighting. The era of the war dog, like that of the classic legionary, slowly began to fade. As the empire shifted from aggressive expansion to defense, large, pitched battles became less common. The new focus was on border security and fighting mobile cavalry units. In this new kind of warfare, heavy infantry and their dog auxiliaries were less effective. The cost of breeding and training specialized companies of war dogs may have started to outweigh their tactical use. But the bloodline didn't die out. As the Western Roman Empire fell, these former soldiers found new jobs on the farms and estates of post-Roman Italy. Instead of fighting barbarian tribes, they hunted wild boar and protected livestock. Instead of guarding a legion's camp, they guarded a farmer's family. Over the next 1,000 years, these descendants continued to evolve. In southern Italy, two distinct but related breeds emerged, believed to carry the legacy of the Roman dogs. The first is the Canis Corso. Its name might come from the Latin word cohors, meaning guardian or protector, a direct link to its Roman past. The Cane Corso is more like the lighter athletic version of the ancient war dog, a versatile hunter and guardian. The second is its heavier cousin, the Neapolitan Mastiff, likely descended from the massive guard and arena dogs of Rome, bred to be an imposing estate guardian. For a time, it seemed even these legacies would vanish. After World War II, both breeds were pushed to the brink of extinction as rural life in Italy modernized. But in the 1970s, dedicated Italian breeders realized a piece of living history was about to disappear. They launched a careful recovery program, saving the Cane Corso and the Neapolitan Mastiff from being lost forever. Today, these breeds are admired worldwide, a living connection to their powerful Roman ancestors. The story of Rome's war dogs is a reflection of Rome itself. It's a story of pragmatic innovation, of taking a powerful force of nature and shaping it into a tool of conquest. It's a story of brutal discipline, and above all, it's a story of the incredible bond between humans and animals in the most extreme circumstances. These dogs were sentries, trackers, and shock troops who threw themselves at the enemy. They were living symbols of military might, but also loyal companions in a violent world. Though their role on the battlefield is long gone, their spirit endures. It lives on in the powerful frame of the Neapolitan Mastiff and the watchful eyes of the Cane Corso. They are a forgotten legion, a chapter in Rome's story written not on parchment, but in the bloodline of some of today's most noble dogs. They remind us that our history is forever linked with the animals who have fought and died by our side. What do you think about these incredible battle companions? Could you imagine trusting your life to a war dog? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this journey into a forgotten corner of ancient Rome, give this video a like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to join us on our next historical adventure. Thanks for watching.